All right, well, good morning, good evening, good night. Welcome into another Monday in the Web3 and NFT space, and we're glad to be joined here by my main man, Gifted, and glad to be joined by you. Thank you for starting your week with us here on NFT Live. We got a lot of quick hits. We got the major news, the flippening that happened last week, so we're going to cover it. Gifted's just waking up. He got his coffee. He's got his Mutant Ape jersey on. What's up, folks? Good to see you in the house, our Vibe, our tribe. We're going to get started here in just a moment. Going to let some folks kind of trickle in as we start the episode. Gifted, hello.
Hello.
Hola.
Hola. Can you hear me? How am I coming through?
Perfecto, senor.
Love it. Happy to be here with you, sir. On a Monday, big Monday here in LA. Again, NFT LA is already kicked off over the weekend, and a lot more people flying in today, a lot more events over the next couple of days. So I'm like kind of in the middle right now of like NFT LA conference stuff where I'm like half tired already, but also like enjoying getting to hang out with and see certain people, and had a couple cool events already that I've been to. Went to the Champ Medici party. Shout out to NFTGo. Got to meet Jared from NFTGo. That was dope. Got to meet Star Lordy, this new CEO of Oniforce. That was a really, really cool experience. And he said he wants to come on our shows also. So
right
just
now,
as a heads up. Yeah, right now. Star Lordy's on this show. No, he said he's down to come on. So hopefully we can get Star Lordy on an upcoming show. And I'm actually going to get to hang out with him more tonight, as well as some of the other Oni fam, because their private event is happening in Hollywood at the Astor tonight, and I'll be there.
All right, so we just got off the GM Web3 morning show, had an awesome 2 hours there. We touched on a lot of topics, including, and it's not on our dashboard, we're going to touch on it today, like the overall market from a macro perspective, especially on the TradFi side, has been affecting us, right? Bitcoin's up, ETH's up. NFTs and blue chip indexes aren't looking that good. We'll kind of discuss a little bit of that. But you got to kind of explain this one to me, Gift, because if y'all don't know, me and Gifted, Gifted mostly runs the Web3 account. And this isn't me. I didn't tweet this out. It says it's going to be the most important show we've ever done. I'm going to need a little bit of an explainer here. What's happening?
Yeah, well, it's actually pretty simple, Q. And that's basically that every show we do is the most important show we've ever done. And that's just facts. I mean, you show up, today's today, not yesterday, not tomorrow. It's the present, it's the now. And if you're living like I'm trying to live my life, nothing matters more than what you're doing right now. And that's this heckin' show. So as far as I'm concerned, Q, we're going to make this. We're going to make this the most important show we've ever done, because people are hurting, people are scared, people need info. They need to know, they need some trusted voices, some good insight, some high quality, the highest quality editorial, entertainment, and education in the space. And that's what we're doing here on an almost daily basis at the Web3 Network. And that's why this is the most important show we've ever done, Q.
Okay, I can get behind that. That was I'm ready to run through a brick wall. What they don't need is financial advice. Have that handy dandy disclaimer ready. This is not financial advice. Anything we say here on the network is just me and Gifted's opinion. Like, it has no bearing on what you should do with your money, especially in these trying times. But we'll let the handy dandy ChatGPT disclaimer here. Or actually, this came from you. This comes from our YouTube.
Yeah, this is not ChatGPT. It's better than that. It's actually written by humans. This is not financial advice. Well, I don't know if lawyers actually qualify as humans, but this is not financial advice, and information was found publicly on the internet. Opinions shared on this episode are solely of the Web3 team. All information is public domain, so please do your own research, or DYOR, as we like to say. And we say that a lot. We'll say it again. We are not financial advisors, though, and that's for sure.
All right, so here's the dealio. I'm going to pull up the tweet for today. We got a lot of quick hits to get through. On Monday, it always feels like we have like a lot of things to get to before the main story. Stuff happening over the weekend. Of course, NFT LA is happening as well. But let me bring this up real quick. This is going to be the tweet for the day. I've just dropped it in chat. If you guys could go there, tweet about it, reply about it, like about it, do anything you can to help us get the word out here about today's episode. We are going to be talking Cryptopunks flipping or reverse flipping, as Gifted likes to call it, the Bored Ape Yacht Club. NFT blue chips getting wrecked. Nifty Portal's got a free mint actually happening now that we'll cover, and then Doodles as well. We got a ton of stuff to get to. One of the topics that you touched on the morning show, Gift, that I want to hit on as well is going to be these projects that have essentially not. I don't know if "rate my rug" is the right term for this. These are just like botched projects, essentially, or like failed projects. I liked what you were getting to. There was like a ranking system there at the end. I think Pepsi was involved. I don't know about Top Shot being involved, but maybe that's part of the combo.
Rate my graveyard. Yeah, I don't know. We'll work on that one.
Yeah, not bad. John R., good to see you. OVOT to the most important show ever. Thank you so much. Mike Erlinson is saying, if you guys have time, wondering what your thoughts are on Small Brains and the Arbitrum airdrop. Already did a 2x in the last 3 days. Good job. Claps here to Mike Erlinson. Definitely already missed a chunk of the move. And then there were a couple other things happening. Sir Billy is saying, good morning. It's a good GM. It's a good week to have a good week. Okay, we have some more housekeeping to get to. We could potentially touch on the Arbitrum airdrop. I never got involved in that ecosystem, so I didn't receive the airdrop, but there were some community members that got involved there that we could touch on. No Arbitrum airdrop for you, Gif?
No, sir. I was not. I mean, we did not take NFT Cutie's advice on that one. Sure. Because, he was coming around telling us Arbitrum was something to look into, and we didn't really, again, we can't hit everything. We try and focus on things we can and cover as much as we can. But Arbitrum is one that I did not get into. And I will say, I think I learned a little bit more about it over the last couple of days, because I'm pretty sure Arbitrum is EVM, like it's ETH based or it's EVM compatible. Mm-hmm. Makes me like it at least a little bit more. And so one of the cool things about it is that it does sound like a lot of the new like integrations and platforms that are being developed on the EVM or being developed to be EVM compatible also include Arbitrum. So I think from just, again, this is very anecdotal, not an expert. I'm just sharing some of the things I've been hearing, talking to people around NFT.
You're not an expert at this?
Not Arbitrum specifically. I'm not an Arbitrum expert, but anecdotally, it sounds like it's getting some traction and it's getting a lot of good integrations into like different platforms and stuff because it's EVM compatible. And so it's like in the sort of like suite, like Optimism. Optimism's another one, like as an example, that's getting traction and attention, doing cool things. And part of that is because it's EVM compatible. So like things like Nifty Kit, things like NFTGo, or like, I don't know if NFTGo is the best example, but like some of these platforms that are doing all these cool integrations, that are focused on Ethereum, Arbitrum is one of those that gets kind of suited in, gets some utility from a lot of these developments happening because it's EVM compatible. So that's what I think I know. That's what I heard. Somebody go read and share more about it because I am not an Arbitrum expert.
Okay, I'm just getting the back end stuff. Yeah, I would love to talk to somebody on the Arbitrum team or maybe part of building out a project there. But Small Brain is the biggest blue chip on Arbitrum. Here's the other thing about these other chains that goes unnoticed and untalked about is like, where do you even start to find out about the analytics and the stats? Because sites like NFTGo, sites like even Crypto Slam isn't going to have maybe the Arbitrum stats on the daily basis. Like it's tough for discoverability when you're in other ecosystems. Mike is also saying the trade is a speculation. Arb Stimmy could go into our projects, but it's getting front run already. Yeah, that is a great narrative to play off of if you want to run into an Arbitrum airdrop and see where that's going. Could turn into to sell the news. Not sure at this point. Yeah. Listen, if you're going to make that play, you got to do it quickly. So I don't even know exactly what the Arbitrum airdrop yielded people. I know there were separate tiers essentially for the amount that you got involved. So if you did like a certain amount of actions, you got more Arbitrum than others that took less of the actions to get involved in that ecosystem. But yeah, to everybody that got that stimmy, congratulations.
Marty, yeah, congrats. Marty was the one saying he got a pretty hefty airdrop. So maybe again, he can hop in here and add some additional info about it. But yeah, Mike, thanks for sharing that info. I have to say though, this is where the term blue chip, I feel like it's overused because like, is it a blue chip? Is there any blue chips on our? It's just like one of the biggest on Arbitrum.
Well, there's a relative blue chip, right, in that ecosystem.
Relative, okay. So relative. So now we're talking about relative blue chips.
Yeah, I'm a relative blue chip to my mother. You know, I'm a blue chip person to my mother, but am I a blue chip person IRL? I don't know. Let's see.
I see where you're going with that. Okay.
Theory of relativity. Anyways, we got a lot of quick news to cover. Like I said, I want to fly through this. We have a lot of cool things to touch on other than Punks flipping Bored Apes. But you know what happens when Punks flip Bored Apes? That's just a Yuga asset flipping another Yuga asset. And typically this will only last for about a month and a half. So I will bet here on the show, but by June of 23, I'm going to get myself caught up here. By June of 23, Bored Ape will already have crossed, if not before. But by the latest, Bored Ape will have flipped Punks back. I think this is just like part of the cycle. You'll see Punks flip, and then you'll see the news come out about it, and you'll see the Punks come out of the woodworks wherever they hide. And then they're like, oh, yeah, Punks flipped apes. And then a month later, we don't hear about the other flippening when Bored Ape inevitably flips Punks again. So we'll see. Plus, it has a lot to do with the blur farming that we touched on as well.
All right. I mean, look, so you said June 2023. Look, we got to hold this man accountable to these tremendous predictions and claims that he's making. So I'm just over here trying to keep track because
your condescension filter's on for someone that's not making a bet on this.
No, don't take it the wrong way and don't get it twisted, Q. I love when you make these big bold predictions because it's fun for me to see you do it. I think a lot of times you're making some pretty cool predictions. Most of the times you're like not even close to where it goes, but like that's Facts. Okay. That's not the point.
Well, that's not the point. Hold on. Chungo's, I called it 0.5. That was my last like one that didn't actually do anything.
Okay. So proven my point. But like you just called that Oniforce in a year would be 10 ETH. I think that's what it was.
This is not financial advice. Yes.
Nothing here is financial advice. But I'm just saying, I'm trying to keep track of these now because these are great predictions. I love them. And so Oniforce to 10 ETH in a year was Q's last prediction. And now he's predicting that by June 2023, by the end of June, we have to say, so some point in June 2023, the reflippening, as I'll call it, will have occurred, and apes will be back on top of Punks. So this is how I'm thinking of it, just so you understand my own terminology, y'all. The flippening was a big deal. If y'all remember when everybody started talking about the flippening was a big deal because Cryptopunks, as everybody knows, has been like the OG blue chip NFT. That was like the biggest one forever since the history of NFTs really like became a bigger deal. Cryptopunks were the biggest project. So when Bored Apes got close and then actually flipped Punks for the first time, everybody freaked out. This was the flippening, right? This was a really big deal, and that was the flippening. Now everybody's talking about CryptoPunks reflipping that. And so I'm calling this the reverse flippening. It's basically undoing the flippening or reversing the flippening. So we have CryptoPunks reverse flippening now. And then you're saying, Q, that the Bored Apes will retake the top spot. And that to me will be the reflippening. So this is my terminology, how I'm thinking about it. But we have to, at least in my opinion, we have to understand the flippening was a specific event. It was the first time that the CryptoPunks
there can't be another flippening. It's a reflippening.
Well, sure, but then you're just like you're making the flippening meaningless in my point, in my opinion. Because to me, like you, just like Q, you were talking about the history of crypto, such a big deal. You literally have an ode to it as your Twitter banner. Bear whale. Yeah. So like, what if we just started using like everything's a bear whale now? And like, oh yeah, did you see that there's there's CryptoPunks, there's like there's a whole bunch of CryptoPunks. Somebody listed them at 75 ETH. That's the new bear whale.
I wouldn't feel that bad about it, but I understand the take. What am I? So I'm switching my Twitter header. Like, damn it, they took the bear whale.
I'm just saying,
know what you
like,
mean.
these things are like really interesting cultural moments that I'm trying to like be able to talk about without it. It becomes more confusing if you just say like, oh, that's now there's a million flippings. It's like, okay,
It's like
I
the word
guess.
utility, right? There we go. We're working on our verbiage here.
Except one's a proper noun and one's not an improper noun.
True. You know what? I think you got me there, GIF. You got me on the grammatically correct
Got him with the grammar.
usage of utility. Hash Rhyme saying we've been sharing the info on potential Arbitrum drop on Discord for a while with the winky face. So we didn't listen to Hash Rhymes either. Mike Erlinson is saying, does Logan Paul still own his Oni? Fair question. I wonder if he took the L's on that for maybe some tax loss harvesting or something like that. Marty McFly is saying apes dead. That's a little bit of an overreaction, but I'll take it. All's fair in love and war. All right, real quick. I am dropping the Nifty Portal free claim. This is their take on POAPs. We know that the daily dosers for a long time were doing daily POAPs where you could claim. Well, it looks like if you go into the Nifty, this is a free NFT. And you can see right on the front page for their website, it says free NFTs almost daily. So we will be tracking how this looks, right? We've seen daily shows and daily, I think even creators that are doing that. It's a free NFT. It's a free NFT. I'm gonna share free NFTs for our folks here. So let us. I want to know what you think. I did want to know what you thought about the art actually, but I do like the idea of having free daily POAPs. What's up?
Who's the artist?
It's a good question.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Could be cool.
Yeah, I like experimentation with daily POAPs. I'm okay with that. So,
yeah.
Anyways, I will move on. Apparently, we were going into Super Yetis. We had Super Yeti actually retweet this. So we're going to get Super Yetis on the map here. Jonathan Long saying no. So this kind of folds into a little bit of the CryptoPunk and Bored Ape Yacht Club over the weekend. Bored Ape Yacht Club, if you didn't see it, I don't know if you were living under a rock this weekend, but the entire community essentially tweeted Bored Ape Yacht Club, which got it trending. Well, we're making it happen with the Yetis. So getting a lot of interesting comments here. Super yes. Lost Local doesn't like it. But yeah.
Super yes. Wait, are you sure he doesn't like it or does he really like it? That could go that GIF could go either way.
Yeah.
Look, I'm a super yes. I think this is a fun thing to just see if we can get a bunch of people tweeting Super Yeti. Who knows?
See what happens.
Will it trend? Probably not. But
speaking of an NFT or a Super Yeti holder, we got a Crypto Buffalo sighting. Again, we are in the quick hit, so this is definitely a quick hit here. Crypto Buffalo has started covering the AI sector. So he is essentially going hard with eFlow as well over there, aka Matt Wolf covering the AI space. So big shout out to Crypto Buffalo here. I'm going to go ahead and drop his link in the chat as well. Good luck on his AI journey. I think Hash Rhymes, you were mentioning that, and I echo that sentiment entirely. So, big thing I was having a discussion with, which I talked to you last week on, was where's the intersection between crypto and AI? Because that is potentially the investable segment, right, of the AI space. Because right now
we might have an answer to that, or one example. The Fuchs.
Fuchs?
Yeah, I'll share that one again. We were talking about it on GM Web3. It's a new project that we picked up on, and apparently one of their whole things is AI-driven allow lists or whitelists.
There we go.
And like vetting people with some kind of AI platform that does that. So here you go. Fuchs NFT. Let me share this with you here, Q.
Yeah, and I'm dropping the link as well. We've got Twitter. So Crypto Buffalo has changed his name. back to his original. He doxed himself here, Randy Prim. So he is now Randy
Wow.
Prim, and he is covering AI. Beautiful background there of Seattle, his
All
hometown.
right.
So I'm gonna be following Randy Prim. We'll see.
It's
I'm still gonna use
hard for
Crypto
me
Buffalo.
to hard for me to not think of him as Crypto Buffalo, but you know what? I respect whatever he wants to do, man. I love him as a guy. He's a good dude. So that's, you know what, you brought him up, and that's a plug that I can absolutely endorse.
I see that.
I endorse the Buffalo plug. So this one, don't know too much about it, just learning about it, but it is an upcoming mint, and they are running, an AI driven Allowlist that kind of gets into that reputation sort of analysis in some way. It uses AI to do some kind of like reputational scoring. So it gives you a soft score based on some actions, and part of it is how you nominate other people. So it's interesting,
First
but it does
whitelist platform.
yeah, but it does seem like, part of what's unique about it as like a PFP project is that it has a product or platform already associated with it, which is this AI driven Allowlist platform. So something to pay attention to, but you're asking the question, where does AI start to come into like crypto and NFTs? And, again, I think we talked about a couple different sort of small examples, but this could be a really interesting one, getting into the reputation area, but specifically like different mechanics within the journey, the community experience that can maybe be enhanced, incentivized different ways, improved different, improvements that can be happening in the journey, and in making sure that you quality assure the people that are coming into your community in different ways.
Is that what it's doing? Is that what the AI is doing?
Think about, well, I think so. Think of this as like another evolution of like the application meta.
You're getting a bigger bouncer, is what you got. You got a bigger bouncer sitting outside, getting the quality people in. Is that what's happening?
I think that's probably a good metaphor. I think it's probably apt. I like it because the application meta was basically a way to quality assure the people that were coming in and starting your community. Again, one of the worst things is when you sell out a project or you launch a thing and then everybody's toxic as fuck, and you realize, shit, yes, I sold out. I may have just raised a bunch of money, but now I basically am like, beholden to this community of shitheads who are fucking totally toxic and totally suck, and I don't even like hanging out with them. They don't even want to be in my Discord, talking about cool shit or building together. They're literally just wind flooring me, and it sucks. So it's like, the application meta was a way to get back to quality curation around your community and how you build more intentionally. And obviously, though, that is a pain point, because think about how much work, how high touch it is to actually like build a community this way. Literally, this is what we've been doing, both of us, definitely through the Nifty Castle, but I think you too. It's like much more high touch, building community organically in this more sort of one-to-one way over time, right? It takes a lot of time to do this, which is why we don't have floor prices that have fucking skyrocketed or anything, because we're doing this totally organically without a bunch of crazy resources or tools. So if you can superpower that process of quality curation, streamline it, make it much easier, then you're actually serving a real need to enhance the community experience and also thus the founder experience, right? If you can use AI to basically vet your community for higher quality nominees and people to be in it,
and you
like a solid,
and again, with the startup mentality, this was always what fascinated me about AI to begin with, was the efficiency aspect of not having to have somebody that you have to hire right off the bat. I know that sucks for people that are like aspiring, community managers or XYZ, but the efficiency aspect of being able to do that so that you can increase your runway as a founder is definitely dope.
It's a good point, because this is absolutely like, if you're looking for the downside here, it might be that there might be a few more Discord mods getting outsourced or, automated away, absolutely, this is an automation situation, and one example of how AI is going to automate away a lot of different types of jobs and tasks.
Okay, so all right, we have to get on to the next topic, and then we will get to the NFTGo Bagcheck. We have one last comment here from Belgium. Here, not Belgium in chat. Belgium, the country, is requiring all cryptocurrency ads to state the only guarantee in crypto is risk. And you know what? My initial reaction is to come out and be like, Belgium, what are you doing? Why are you being so like heavy-handed with the cryptocurrency ads? But you also know what? They're kind of right. This is actually what I would tell somebody that's entering crypto for the first time. The only guarantee you really have is that this shit is risky as hell. So you know what? Good on you, Belgium. You made a W here.
It's the Surgeon General warning being slapped on any sort of advertising. You know what? I think what would be a lot worse to me, like, yeah, I'm not that offended by this. Like the thing that would be a lot worse to me would be if they were just taking a hard line like the Super Bowl did and just banning all crypto ads or like any crypto business from doing, marketing and advertising. Then I'd be like, oof, that's no bueno. What the fuck, This to me is kind of just like an evolution of the marketplace to try and, properly safeguard and communicate around different types of, products. And that's okay. It's very risky. But, the crazy thing about these warnings is, like the Surgeon General cigarette warnings, even some of them have like skull and crossbones or like pictures of people with cancer slapped on it. It didn't even stop people. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, that's
at least it's educating a little bit.
So Mike Finch brought back some cigars for me from Europe whenever he was over there. And that was the craziest thing is he had to like tape over, and I removed the tape because I was like, what the hell's under this? And it's just like, yeah, Europe is way crazier on the disclaimers. If you guys don't know, it's like pictures of people like dying from cancer. We're in a great spot in the episode now. So fantastic for you guys to join us today here on NFT Live and Web3. I am going to get to the NFTGo Bagcheck gift. Do you have any last quick hits before we move into the meat of the episode here?
I think it would be cool to talk about Sony, but like quick hits wise, not really. I want to shout out Mike Erlinson, who's just killing it in the chat over here. He's calling out the Not an NFT Project as a fun one to check out. So maybe we can look at that one. But yeah, man, I don't know. I'm excited to look more into what's going on with Doodles as well.
No one needs a good week better. No one needs a good week this week more than Doodles. We will cover Doodles here in a sec. Okay. Yeah. So point taken. We will get to that. Thank you for showing up. Quantum Barrett saying yes. So I don't know if that's yes based on the comments we were making or that's a super yes. Yeti yes.
Super yes.
A super yes. Automation.
Can we get a super yes in the chat? Yo, drop us a super yes over here.
I'm dropping that super yes. All right, NFTGo Bagcheck. We got 31, so we're kind of cooling off here on the market sentiment meter. 30-day profit loss. Everybody's still kind of in those losses. We're still in that bear market, folks. Over the last 7 days, the blue chip index has taken a hit against ETH. I believe that is the same thing. It looks like we're crabbing out a little bit, but if you go out to 30 days, blue chip index is kind of wrecked. Let's zoom out to now 3 months. So yeah, we're kind of almost at where we were right before the start of the year. So we had a really nice, fun 2 months there, and then March kind of was or has been a little bit tough, at least on the blue chip projects, but definitely just throughout the entirety of the month. Market cap and volume against ETH is down a little bit / crabbing out here over the last 30 days. Let's see, 7 days. Yeah, we're struggling there. Volume strong, but market cap is tanking. USD, kind of where we were to start the month over the last 7 days. Let's go to 30. We're up a little bit. So kind of wishy-washy here. We're kind of watching the Bitcoin and Ethereum prices, seeing what those are doing. NFTs have been a little bit quieter in the month of March. Holders and traders holders going up consistently. Traders about the same throughout the course. PFPs just getting after it. All right, volume over the last 7 days. It is Wrapped Cryptopunks taking up 25% of the volume on Ethereum. Mutant Ape Yacht Club, Heavy Metal, Bored Ape Yacht Club, Cryptopunks. So all Yuga in the top 5 here. MG Land, Azuki's.
V1 CryptoPunks are not.
Oh,
Yuga.
Good catch there. MG Land, Azuki, Other Deeds, Doodles, Sewer Passes, and others. Still getting over my Sewer Pass rug from last week. That actually just reminded me, and I had forgotten all about it. So Wrapped CryptoPunks taking up a solid majority over the last 24 hours. Let's see, 40, half of the Ethereum market is Wrapped CryptoPunks right now, probably being traded on Blur, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And Mutant Ape Yacht Club, CryptoPunks, Azuki's, what else is on here? Cool Cats making an appearance in the top 10 over the last 24 hours here on the NFTGo Bagcheck. And then we got marketplaces. Let's take a look here. We got the last 24. Let's go to 7 days. Handy dandy wash filter by X2Y2. Blur is taking up a majority here. I don't know what the percentage looks like, but they are doing 174,000 ETH in volume over the last 7 days. Let's look at the last 24 hours, and OpenSea is standing strong on the trader front.
If you look at the market as primarily just OpenSea and Blur volume right now, roughly, you could say roughly like 25% is OpenSea, roughly 75% is Blur. Just under $2 billion over the last 30 days traded on Blur, and just under 500 mil on OpenSea. So yeah, pretty astonishing. But again, I think we were hitting on this again on GM Web3 this morning. We've been speculating and talking about the issues with the incentives being created, and the undercutting the floors, the wash trading incentive for farming Blur tokens and the airdrops and all this type of shit. But they're starting to come under more scrutiny now as the data piles up, right? So now there's more data to look at, more data points. CryptoSlam was what we were referencing specifically. CryptoSlam has posited that at least like more than a quarter, like close to a third, somewhere between a quarter and a third of all Blur volume over the last month was wash trading, is what they're saying. I think they said it's close to like 550 or 600 mil, something like that, wash traded. And here's the thing. If like I was looking at the floor of the wrapped, the V1 CryptoPunks and on OpenSea, but I was expecting it to be much higher because of all this volume. Like when you look there at all that volume, it's literally number one in terms of volume by far. So you'd think, either the floor is like dropped like crazy, or it should be shooting to the moon right now. No, it's just stagnant because people are just trading back and forth. This is just freaking wash trading. That's what this looks like.
I look, this is a rabbit hole conversation that I don't want to dive down that much into, but it feels like if you had worse traits going into this zero royalties Blur versus OpenSea like event that we're in now, if you had NFTs that had shitty traits, you're actually this is a good thing for you. Because what happens is the floors kind of converge and you don't see these like wild, like rare trait movements. It's more just like the floor is what it is. Like you literally have a base price for like 80 different traits. That seems to be what's happening now.
Yeah, and so maybe it is authentic trades of people just switching out, more people coming in, more people exiting or something like that. I don't know, man. But like the fact that you're seeing that much volume on a project with just like nothing happening to it it's kind of weird, man. Like I don't know that it's good. Like it feels like you should see some kind of movement, some kind of price action. Yeah. Again, good or bad.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, Andrew Steinwald had a great tweet. Let me see if I can pull this up. Let me make sure I can do that. He calls himself the metaverse guy now. Okay, Andrew. All right. Here is the tweet. Once Blur farming stops, how much will NFT trading volumes drop? Thought it was, that's straight and to the point. We don't. I would love to know like what the tokenomics and what the farming looks like from a timeline standpoint. If anybody's like currently farming this stuff, but I mean that's a fair point. Is it going to get cut in half? Is it going to get cut in thirds? What does that do to just volumes across the space? Is that a bad narrative? You know, if blur farming stopped in a month and volumes drop by a third, like to a third of what it is now, are people going to even more so say NFTs are dead? NFTs are dead. We'll see.
Well, NFTs are dead. Poopy made that clear. Doodles, Poopy and the Duties. Doodles are no longer an NFT project because NFTs are dead, Q. So if you didn't get that memo, Poopy basically opened up the casket, put all of us inside, nailed it shut, and dropped us 6 feet underground.
We're worldwide media companies. We're not NFTs.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Fair point. There is a future here. The future's bright in Web 2.
All right. This is getting kind of this 24 hour, this trending over the last 24 hours can get kind of sus. Good luck trying to navigate these projects, but choose AI Orbit, Redeem. I see BAYC introduced in there, not a Goblin Town project, not a NFT project. Oh, God. Oh, it's like disheveled doodles. Oh, man. Oh, man. All right, let me get back into the look real quick. 24 hours again. So not an NFT back. Oh, Pepin still up there. We've got DeFi Apes, Merge VV, Other Deeds, Friendly Pandas, Cool Cats. These are all in the top 20. So Choose taking up the majority of sales there. Yeah. What is the Blur token going for? I could pull that chart up. We got some charts to pull up. Any thoughts on this trending dashboard here, this leaderboard? Any that stick out to you?
So Blur's sitting around 55 cents, definitely dumping at the moment. And yeah, we can pull that up and look at it. I think to your point, these 24-hour charts and the way that these platforms track data can be very problematic, but that's why I like that, at least NFTGo has like a filter for wash trading and tries their best to sort through that. So as long as like the wash trading filter is on, I feel okay about that. Unfortunately, again, like volume is like the leading indicator for everything in the space right now. And like so many other things just don't matter. So yeah, I get what you mean. You always got to try and understand more about these projects and not just take volume as like a green flag on its own.
Yep. While we're here, so we saw the Blur token over the last month essentially has consistently gone down from like $1.30 to now we're sitting at today at 50 cents. Certainly that's coming from people farming the token. Green markets overall, we were having a great debate, and I want to open this up before we get to Cryptopunks and apes here and into our main story is, okay, the markets are obviously reacting positively, at least the crypto market is reacting a little bit positively to all of the turmoil that's happening with Credit Suisse, SVB. So Bitcoin's up 26 to 30%, up to about 28K. Ethereum's sitting at almost, I think it touched $1,850. So really well. And then we have, tokens along that realm. We have $1.14 for Polygon. Ape token's not doing as well. ApeCoin's not doing as well. Solana up 13%. So we're reacting pretty favorably. We've got some people tweeting about $1 million Bitcoin. Like we seem to be in that little pocket right before maybe we see some good movement off like the narrative that Bitcoin is like gonna pump when the Fed increases money into the ecosystem and all these things. So TLDR, what's happening in the traditional markets, and I love you guys that are in chat. You guys also have a lot of knowledge here. Essentially, the Fed is probably going to they're going to have to continue to increase interest rates. So we'll see, I think 0.25 basis points. So 0.25% increase on the interest, but it does feel like they're going to have to increase liquidity into the market. They're going to have to turn that money printer on again, and that's why you see a potential, narrative start to form with Bitcoin. It's like, okay, we survived the SVB stuff. There is going to be a point where we're going to have severe inflation. So what assets look good in that environment? Well, Bitcoin ran up to what, 60, 65K, 68K in the last period of severe inflation. That's where we stand here today when it comes to the crypto markets. Obviously, that's a lot of generalization. We could hop into a couple different tweets. Would love your guys' takes. GIF, thoughts.
Well, I was looking while you're talking. I was looking for the article that we were referencing on GM Web3. Apparently, over just like the last week, there's been $200 billion put into the crypto market, mostly Bitcoin. And the crypto market has gone from about 950 billion market cap. It's all, whenever it hits, it goes like above or under that $1 trillion market cap mark. It's like a big news headline. And so it is now shot back past that, closer to like 1.2 trillion or something like that. Or like 1.15 trillion, something like that. Right. So, I mean, a lot of volume starting to move back into crypto, and again, primarily Bitcoin, but also ETH. And yeah, I mean, this term flight to safety keeps coming to my mind, but I think, is that what's happening? Is there any safety anywhere? I don't know. We had a great debate about this, and I don't know that I have a really solid take on what's going on, but it does seem to me, again, that more people are starting to realize that the centralized banking industry isn't necessarily as safe as they thought. And they're looking for other options. And the narrative for crypto keeps getting stronger. Like we were talking about, like, I think the headline of one of our shows last week was like, is the crypto thesis proving out? Like, is the Bitcoin thesis for being an alternative, this decentralized world being the alternative to the centralized world, starting to hold more water, hold more weight? And I don't know, it seems like it is. On the like $1 million shit, it does seem like these are just kind of like
in 90 days.
It seems a little bit crazy to me. I think they are clearly relying upon some like really big structural systemic weaknesses, creating more black swan events. So the thesis there is just that, look, the weakness and like how bad off the banks are has been covered up and lied about, and it's a lot worse than you think it is. And so if we are in this situation where there's basically like some kind of bigger, systemic failure on the level of a 2008 financial crisis, what happens to Bitcoin?
Mm-hmm. No, that again, this is why we're talking about the SVB stuff. The SVB does not have nearly the contagion that everything in 08, caused, but we do see a positive kind of reaction by Bitcoin. It didn't drop 30, 40%. Like this is the point we keep coming back to, is like, this is one of the first times where a major financial meltdown has happened. You can't overstate that. Like it did happen. One of the largest banks in the U.S. collapsed. They had to, essentially bail them out either through the insurance fund, but with government funds as well. And you had Bitcoin go up, 30%. So while it was relatively contained, Bitcoin didn't operate as this like extremely risk-on asset for the first time in its history, almost. For one of the first times in its history.
It provided a flight to safety, or a better place to go, a sturdier asset, more like a store of value, or like digital gold. So again, these things are starting to come to fruition. It's just like, does 90 days for that kind of prediction really make sense? You'd have to see some kind of really crazy shit go down that would be very bad for all of us in the short term, probably, and maybe the world, to get to that point. But look, crazy shit does happen. You know what I mean? And that's where it's like, I don't know. It's all speculation though. And again, none of this is financial advice. We're just trying to understand. It's definitely a very fun conversation to have though. You're over here saying Oni will be over 10 ETH in a year. This guy's just saying Bitcoin will be over $1 million in 90 days.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
What's the difference? Yeah. The crazy thing is, and this is the other combo we had was like, if ETH is at 15K, there's no way that the Oni Force is going to be a 10. The only way Oni Force gets to 10 is if we crab and we just kind of maintain this like 1 to 3K range for ETH. Then you can possibly say, okay, like, maybe Oni had some really good plays. Maybe they got some narrative. But if ETH is at $15,000, there's no way that one Oni Force is going to be worth 150K unless we live in this environment that like there. I think Mike Erlandson is saying U.S. would be worse than Zimbabwe, which we don't even want to talk about. That's like, yeah. So, anyways, is my camera sus today?
Your camera's sus, my guy. I'm just trying to do my best looking at your beautiful blurry face.
Wait, the whole episode has been like that?
Not the whole episode. Didn't
okay.
start that way.
All right.
But it has been for a couple minutes. But I think, Quantum Variant saying, or is asking, do we think the bottom is in on BTC and ETH? Knox doesn't think so. Knox thinks there's more bottom to be hit yet. I don't know, man. Again, it's like if what's been happening during this recent banking failure crisis situation is an indicator, which I think it is, about like the sentiment around crypto being possibly stronger and or a better alternative now, then maybe. Because again, even then, if shit goes bad in the traditional sector, if the dollar's not doing well, etc., a lot of people might be looking to go to crypto instead. So whereas it's the decoupling that you're trying to understand here. Is this an authentic decoupling? And again, Mike Finch's point was like, you need like at least 60 days to really know. So we're 2 weeks out from that.
Yeah.
It's like we still need another 45 days maybe to know for sure. But that's what you want to look at is the decoupling, because if like, I think most of us here sense that the macro situation is not turning around right now and will probably get worse. Everybody's starting to talk about recession again, right? So if the macros suck, then through the history of crypto, that would also mean that crypto is negatively impacted and pulled lower. If it's a true decoupling though, that we're starting to witness, then it might actually push it higher.
Yeah. Until you are very, very well allocated on the Bitcoin and Ethereum front, you don't want this stuff to happen. Like, we want to continuously accumulate in these next 2 years, which is like my timeline essentially for like the next, like, whatever cycle that is. You don't want these things to happen. We definitely don't want to live in an environment when Bitcoin's $1 million, because that means something something wild happened in the course of like a year. And then that doesn't even like really make sense to me, because if something really wild did happen, Bitcoin would probably be sold off in mass. Like you need this like small incremental adoption, not this like, oh my God, apocalypse now, we all got to rush to Bitcoin. It just doesn't make sense to me. So, oh, you're muted.
So I get exactly what you're saying, and I think you're making a good point, Q. And that's just that, like, what you really want is a little bit more healthy growth, over some kind of more reasonable time window. You really don't want markets doing this fucking whipsawing shit, right? Mm-hmm. It's not really good for anybody. Not just like the economy and all that shit, but people's fucking mental health. Jesus. But I do think, what's interesting and shocking about what's happening with these recent banking crises and like the things that have, even with like FTX and like crypto in general, is you see scale and speed that is unnatural. It is not normal. And I think actually this takes me back to the point that you brought in too, which was this interesting insight that like microeconomics is just not even built to handle digital transaction
The
speed
speed of money.
or
Yeah. The velocity.
speed of communication to that point, right? Because a lot of it is now just the way that we communicate in these like group chats and scale our communications, and then the way that that's able to move people to take quick actions and that speed of money and the velocity of money.
Yeah.
And that's what's really interesting to me here is that, yes, I think the way that you're thinking about it, I think Andy on today's show, when he was talking with Quantum, and there was a great back and forth, he said, "You're coming at this with too much logic. It's like, look, you're thinking about this with like too much, intelligence, and like sometimes these things don't fucking make sense. You know what I mean? And I think that we're in a place right now where there's a lot of things in the world that don't make sense." And I think part of that is because we're trying to contextualize it in our known history of like how things have behaved, how markets have behaved, how economics works, all these types of things. But we are actively moving into a new technological horizon that is unknown.
Look, Quantum Variant saying a tweet took down SVB. I would make the same comparison to what happened with FTX initially. Once CZ started tweeting about the run on, like, hey, we don't think that there's any money behind what's being shown on these books here, which ended up being on like fucking QuickBooks at the end of the day. A tweet from CZ made essentially a bank run happen.
And that was like they were being valued at like $30 trillion, and that shit folded in less than a week, man. Like,
yeah. A lot of great comments coming through from Mike and Quantum here. If we go down, it's a great buying opportunity, but I'd be hard pressed to believe we make new lows. Quantum said he agrees. I just don't know what could happen at this point to bring us lower. That's what actually happens. Like when there's an event that brings us lower, no one sees it coming. That's the whole idea. Like if they saw it coming, the markets would look a lot healthier than like something out of left field.
We'd all be billionaires.
Yeah. So I wanna turn this to a tweet by Arthur Hayes, who ran essentially. I always bring up Arthur. Like I feel like I talk about Arthur, Jordan Lyle. There's a couple like 4 guys that I mention a lot here that I like really respect have being OGs in the industry. Arthur Hayes being like one of the biggest OGs. He ran essentially what was an exchange at the time bigger than Coinbase. Like that was essentially where all the trading was happening. He's now since like left. He's like kind of semi-retired, but I would follow this guy because he puts out newsletters and things like this on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. But he says, okay, so crowdsource investing time. Pitch me on what piece of dog shit is going to fly when people rotate out of BTC into alts. This is the narrative that's played out essentially in crypto for as long as I've been here. Is you see as long as there's nothing huge that happens, like some type of like crazy event, this Black Swan event. If Bitcoin goes up in value, people rotate that into smaller alts. Even Ethereum can be thrown into this as, quote unquote alt. So here's the question I pose to you guys out there. Bitcoin is now at 28K. I think we will see in the short term a rotation like Arthur's talking about into, people trying to make money on alts now, and then alts flow back into BTC, and you get this like kind of flywheel effect. Some would call a Ponzi. But anyways, I will phrase the question. What alt are you putting your cash into? I think I know what your answer will be here, Gif. Or are you looking at NFTs potentially? If you had just made a shit ton of money here in the last month on BTC, where are you putting that cash?
All right, there's a couple that I'll talk about, but there's also one that I just learned about that the name is escaping me. So I'm gonna actually, while we talk about this, I'm gonna DM someone and try and figure out what he was talking about again. So maybe I can pull that one up too. So definitely not Fox token from Shapeshift. I'll say that. Definitely not that. Also, definitely none of this is financial advice. The things that I have been paying attention to from like, you told me about the things that I've been paying attention to on like the coin side that I think are interesting. Obviously, Matic. I freaking love Polygon. If I could buy a whole bunch more right now, I'd be buying a whole bunch more Matic. I am also very interested in Ghost, Aavegotchi Ghost coin now. I just think that like what they're doing is interesting, and the fact that they've got like a $40 million treasury that just got unlocked, and they're going to be able to do all kinds of stuff with that, I think is fascinating. I also like ApeCoin. I've already got a bag of that, but like maybe that could be another solid play right now. I'm actually interested in Blur. Again, believe it or not, we talk about the downsides of it, but the fact is they have like the biggest NFT market by trading volume. Again, whether or not a big percentage of that is wash trading, there's a lot of volume there, and that platform is providing a solid utility and service and experience, and it has captured a lot of loyalty in the 4 or 5 months since it launched. And the fact that there's a marketplace that now has a token, I think is going to unlock a lot of additional utility and value for people. So I'm interested in Blur, and that might be a place that I would be going as well. Other than that,
I honestly, investing in infrastructure for a sector like NFTs, obviously we're covering NFTs daily, but investing in the infrastructure of that industry is not a bad play at all if you're betting on one of the biggest marketplaces.
Yep. So I do think that's a bet on one of the biggest marketplaces, to your point. I've also, Stacks, we've talked about. I am still very interested in Stacks. I'm bullish on what that's about. And then there's like Optimism and Arbitrum, who are, again, these are both like EVM compatible that like I don't know very much about, but they seem to be getting a lot of traction, and I'd want to look into those, but I don't really know enough about them yet. I love Tezos. I would always buy some more Tezos as well. So yeah, those are some of the ones.
I like Hash Rhymes as one here as well. Again, this is not financial advice. Immutable X is doing a lot of dope stuff. The gaming sector is one that is going to pop off here, and I still believe so. Immutable X just announced Immutable as zero knowledge Ethereum virtual machine powered by Polygon. So
they've been kind of slow though. That's the thing. So I was actually early on Immutable X. We were actually talking with Immutable X way back in early 2021 to partner with them on our first project, Crypto Kingdoms, that we didn't ever, get to fully build out because we didn't have all the tools and experience in the big enough team and all that shit. But like I was early on Immutable X, actually have bought into it at different times. They've been kind of slow though. Like, so I'm not counting them out. I think to your point, there's been a lot of dev, and like the whole gaming, NFT gaming and Web3 gaming hasn't really hit yet. So I think there's probably a lot of reasons why Immutable X is still a good bet. I just like, to me, they've felt kind of slow, and I've seen other sort of like scaling solutions catch on a lot faster or develop a lot faster. Like even something like Solana. So like, I'm not really that bullish on Sol right now. I think they'll probably be around, but like they seem to move fast and break stuff, a lot quicker, and maybe that's not a good thing, but like, I don't know, man. Like what's the Immutable X thing that has popped off or that everybody talks about, or I just don't know.
Well, Polygon. We talk about Polygon all the time.
Well, they're
EVM.
Right. That's what I mean though. Like Polygon, their biz dev is fucking killing it, and we see the fruit of like what they're doing.
Okay, so good comments coming through. I remember when everyone got hype on IMX NFTs. Mike Erlandson just said that. Hash is talking about Immutable X just now. Hash, did you just dump your bags? What's going on? Are we like your exit liquidity here? We just had like a 15% drop in IMX literally in the last hour. Not sure what's happening with this price chart. You can kind of see that cliff there. So not sure what's happening there. Prodigy saying, as your advisor with all this talk, it's time to run the NFA banner for a few seconds. I can do that, sir. I can run the handy dandy "This is not financial advice" banner.
Good call.
I do not buy into the CryptoPunk stability, flight to safety thing that you're talking about at all. We are barely seeing this in Bitcoin at this point. In an asset that's been around for 15 years, and it's I see you about to kind of clap back and maybe agree with Marty here, but the idea that your flight to safety is CryptoPunks is like you GIF, if if the prices were plummeting, just absolutely everything across the board, your apes are wrecked, your Bitcoin's wrecked, your Ethereum's wrecked, your flight to safety is like, I'm gonna buy a punk here. That's what you're telling me?
You know, it's interesting because I hear the points that you're making, and again, it sounds logical, but I actually really disagree for a couple of reasons. And that's that, like, art, like actual highly valued art, typically withstands bad markets very well. And CryptoPunks, again, I understand this is like the NFT and it's like a new thing, but it's been around since like 2017. It is the blue chip. So it's like, if you're looking for digital art and a digital asset backed up by the blockchain, it is the predominant one. Again, you could argue Bored Apes too, but like, no, that doesn't have the same provenance or the length. So it's not just that like you have a financial asset backed up by the blockchain that also adds in the value of being art, respected art that is now being shown around the world in like high-end famous galleries, museums, and institutions. But then on top of it, I look at the community that actually collects these CryptoPunks. Who are these people? These are not people that are just going to dump because the crypto market's down. A lot of them are the crypto OGs that have seen boom and bust in crypto and know that like eventually this shit's going to turn around and be worth a lot more. I don't think there's a bunch of paper hands in the CryptoPunk community, to put it lightly. And a lot of the people that buy these specifically buy them as stores of value, like retirement fund shit. Like they're like, this is like, I am putting my fucking bag here and my identity here because I trust so much that this asset is going to be worth a lot more. So while I understand everything that you're saying, and while I think you can apply that broadly to pretty much all the NFT projects in the space,
100%.
CryptoPunks is different. I think it is actually different. And that's why I feel different about it in this case.
I like the argument you made. I really do. I just don't. It's the same thing as kind of like the narratives that you can get behind a Bitcoin. It's like, here is an environment when Bitcoin should like do really well. And up until literally today or this week, it hasn't, like, so the narrative was there. It's like, we have all of these feature sets, like it's decentralized, nobody can control it. And every single time it's performed as a risk on asset. So when you have the number one blockchain asset in the space only just this time, and we don't even know the long-term effects, it could get absolutely hammered over the next, like Mike Finch was saying, 60 days, when the number one blockchain asset and decentralized asset is just dealing with this, everything down the line, including CryptoPunks, is going to be seen as a risk on asset more and more exponentially. So while I can get behind the argument, it's just not how the market has interacted.
Yeah, and to your point, there will be some people that freak out and exit, but I think that it's not as many people as you would think. And I think more and more, kind of like the narrative on Bitcoin has been solidifying, kind of like the narrative on crypto is. I think the further that we get from the provenance of CryptoPunks, the stronger and stronger the case gets that these are the Mona Lisa, the Picasso, these matter not just as an asset, but as art. And so again, that changes the calculus, in my opinion, for how people will value these in the future. Again, regardless of market, like there's going to be people that want a CryptoPunk because it's now a famous, iconic piece of art and an asset that you can build your identity around. And there's a limited finite supply. Everybody knows how it works, and it's backed up on the blockchain. The provenance is there. You can't fake it. Mm-hmm. So
I think what you're also looking for in a flight to safety asset is immediate liquidity. That's why people go into USD, is because, okay, I could get, what is 75 ETH?
And it's more liquid traditional art.
It is, but that's like saying I'm hotter than the ugly person that's here with me. Like that doesn't mean I'm hotter than the 10 that is down the street. I know that was kind of a shitty analogy, but you see where I'm going at. Like relative to art, its liquidity is good, but what you actually want is major liquidity in times of crisis. I don't think CryptoPunks in a time of crisis are going to be something that you can just offload and that holds value right then. That's what you need for the flight of safety. Is like, I need the money that I have right now to be safe. And I don't think in a short-term crisis that those will perform. But I think you're selling me a little bit more on CryptoPunks relative to the NFT space being a long-term hold asset. I think you're hitting on it.
Well, I think the liquidity is there, but the time horizon is the variable to me, right? So it's like, I would actually feel pretty good about taking my money and putting it into a CryptoPunk right now, even if I needed it out in the next 6 months to a year, because I know that like I could find a buyer. But to your point, like, would I necessarily make money on that in that window? I don't know, right?
I'd be surprised where that liquidity goes.
but I think 2 to 3 years, like, you're probably making money. Like, you know what I mean? So I don't know, man.
I here's where I will concede. And again, I think you did a great job selling it. Marty's saying, well, can we agree it's the safest NFT though? I would probably agree with that. You know, like that's a cool another discussion to have if anybody has another NFT they think would do well in that environment. But I think 100% I would agree with both of you on that. So, okay, we're going to fade this into the CryptoPunks flipping or reverse flipping Bored Apes. We only have about, I would say, 10 more minutes that I could be here. I do have to run. The last thing I will say on this Bitcoin front, this analytics, you can see transaction counts are up, new entities climbing, free pressure building, miner revenues rising. This is all on a Glassnode newsletter, which I follow a lot for like data that goes in depth on, again, things like user counts, things like data visualizations, all that stuff. But someone made an interesting point that transaction counts are up and new entities climbing because of ordinals.
Yeah, well, I was gonna ask, can you define new entities? And I was assuming ordinals had partly to do with that.
I'm guessing new entities means new wallets. Let me see if I can find that for you. Let's see.
So apparently ordinals have crossed 500,000 or something. There was some headline. I think it was like 500,000 inscriptions or something.
I think, yeah. So I think entities is used synonymously here with users, right? So using our advanced clustering algorithms, we can estimate the number of unique new entities operating on chain as a best estimate for unique new users. So that's what you got.
Thank you, Q.
All right, Gif, I have your tweet here that is talking about blur volume being real. So I'm going to drop that here in chat if you guys want to check out. I think that's an NFT statistics video, is it not?
It's a proof video.
Proof, okay. Which I think statistics is the one that hosts that.
Maybe.
And he
I actually don't know. I've never watched it before. It just came up as an interesting video where they're talking, starting to investigate the data on what's really going on with Blur. And I haven't even fully watched it. We just covered it a little bit, but I tweeted it out because I'm going to go watch it. Maybe. How long is it?
14 minutes.
No, it's pretty long.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's statistics right there. So that's cool to see him there talking about Blur. What was the takeaway? I know you said you need to watch it. But what were your takeaways here? And then also this tweet from him said, in a 6-year history of CryptoPunks, the most any punk ever traded was 16 times. In the past week, this punk has traded 33 times on Blur. We'll get into some other implications there.
Well, I don't really want to prognosticate too much about the video since I haven't fully watched it yet. But that was an interesting tweet, or that's an interesting stat, right? That data point that now you're seeing these ridiculous trade volumes on assets, and are these just false signals though? This is the question I have about this, and what I want to hopefully learn more about in this video. It's understanding how much of this really matters. How damaging is it to the space at large that basically we're just filling up our whole data set with a bunch of false signals that makes it impossible to know like kind of like the signal from the noise. How does this impact what we're building, what we're trying to create long term? You know what I mean? It's like, is this like basically like introducing a cancer? Is that what Blur is really doing? Like, is this actually really detrimental long term? These are the questions that I have that I don't know the answer to. But like to me, you know, you look at that stat where it's like, hey, the most a punk was ever traded was 16 times. You can pretty much rely on that data as like that was a pretty authentic, you know, like trading probably for the most part. But now it's just like, hey, now it's just being traded back and forth, or like there's a bunch of trades happening. How much of that is wash trading? How much of it is actual like legit, you know, new buyers coming in? And does that even really matter?
It's
I don't know.
16 times in its history, GIF. Well, it could have easily been traded 10 times in the looks drop as well, based on the wash trading you were talking about. Right. People are doing the exact same thing.
But I think that's shitty.
Yeah, it is.
Like I don't look at that as a good thing, like necessarily, right? But like, how bad is it? That's what I also don't understand. You know, it's like I might also be thinking. I guess what I'm saying is like I might also be like thinking too hard about this shit, and just like, look, it's data, it's fine. Our tools will get better at analyzing like legit, you know, new traders or new trades from people just wash trading shit, and you know, who cares at the end of the day? Maybe that's the takeaway. I don't know, but it does bug me though that like so much of the stats that get thrown around is like interesting, or to me, I see them as just like false signals at this point.
I think you're right, and I'll say this: liquidity has always been a good driver for the space. Now, has it been a volatile driver? Yes. Like when you have DeFi products that let you lever up to 100x on what you can essentially bet down and double down, that has led to market increases that have led to the rise of Bitcoin to 20K or the rise of Bitcoin to 60K. It's also been why we've crashed extremely hard during volatile times. So the one thing I will say here is like liquidity is good for the space, and it's always been a driver of adoption. When we've been able to get people in here, it's because of extra liquidity into the space, driving, you know, price increases and things like this. So I'll never, you know, be on the side of like, you know, like more liquidity, that sucks. Because that's what Blur is doing. It's incentivizing people to, you know, actively buy, sell, and trade. The one thing I will say is you have, and why we'll get negative press when Andrew Steinwald's point comes true, when they turn the Blur faucet off, that we're going to get negative press saying NFTs trading is down 50%. You have to do it with the understanding that this stuff is, you know, not the best type of liquidity, I guess, which is that organic interest in that type of organic liquidity. So I would say it's good for the space, but just have the understanding, but which most people don't. You know, most people that are in the space are going to shit talk NFTs when it drops 50% because they turn the faucet off.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
You need, dude, liquidity drives so much interest here. Like it's literally one thing. Like I think you have to.
But what I like though is like the sort of need to caveat, you know. So okay, let's take this scenario that you're painting. Blur airdrop finally finishes 10 years from now when they finally decide to wrap up their airdrop. All of a sudden, you know, the volume, the perceived volume at least, goes from, you know, $5 billion a month down to $1 billion. It cuts down to like 80%. I'm painting a crazy scenario, right? And then you start to see headlines. Everybody's like, NFT volume drops off a cliff. It dies. It's dead. It's down 80%. And so it's like, actually, caveat, there never was any volume. Ha! It's like tricked you.
If the aggregate volume at that time is like 100x where it is today, then Blur would have done its job, is what I would say. You know, like I don't know.
The interesting counterpoint to like my own point here that I'm thinking about is like, yeah, and I think it's kind of the point that you're trying to make, which is volume and liquidity does matter, and it is important to any market. So, what is the actual long-term benefit, or / even just the short-term benefit while we've been in this bear market of having Blur doing what they're doing? right? Because I do think it's definitely maintaining a lot more interest and action than would probably be here otherwise, right?
That's the tough part to separate your mind on, and what people don't look at is how much worse it would be if we didn't have it. That's a whole nother timeline, right? Where, you know, in some other timeline that did happen, and we're sitting in like a true bear market.
Yeah,
You know,
it's hard for me to separate that from also not liking the fact that they're a big part of why artist royalties have also been totally fucked over, though. So
yeah. So back to the question of the day, Gift Ed, Bored Apes or CryptoPunks? If you had X amount today, I will say also the floors have diverged a lot. It's like a 13 ETH gap. Like it's not like CryptoPunks flipped apes and we're sitting at like half an ETH. They've converged or diverged a ton. So with that in mind, what are you buying?
Well, I kind of have the same answer that I've said before when we've talked about this, and that's that, like, assuming that I have neither, right? Because I've got an ape, so it's like right now I kind of feel like, oh well, I want a punk, so I can have one of each. But like, assuming I have neither, and I could get one or the other, like I'm starting out, you know what I mean? Like I'm kind of like newer. I would want to go with apes because I think that, again, there's a lot more utility being generated and value coming in through that you can maybe, you know, like kind of stack from there. So it's like, if I didn't have either, I would go for an ape because I want to be in an ecosystem that's actively building a bunch of cool shit that I can access. You know, it's active in its own ways. It's creating different airdrops and utilities or games and shit. So I would start there. Now that I already have an ape, like I want a punk because I want both. So
gotta have both.
Yeah.
I just dropped that poll there in chat for you guys to participate. Is my cam okay to like zoom in here, or has it gotten better? No.
From where I'm sitting, no. But
no. Okay, so I'll
maybe
zoom out. I'll zoom out a little bit. All right. Anyways, we did drop the poll there in chat: apes or punks. We'll see what the community thinks about that question. We have about 5 minutes left. So GIF, I know, you know, Don R is talking about PlayStation filing patents for NFT tech. I know, is that the Sony piece as well that you were touching on? Do you want to hit on that today, or do you want to cover it in depth tomorrow? Or
I think we it's up to you, man. What do you want?
Hit it. Let's do it.
All right.
I got it.
Let's talk about it. You have it, but also yeah. I mean, look, I think it's really cool whenever you see a massive gaming publisher or platform or developer like this integrating Web3 tech. What does this exactly mean? I don't think we'll know for a little bit. And so that's why it's like, yeah, we don't have to spend much time on it. I think it's worth mentioning, though, that Sony is making a big play here in integrating what they call cross-system NFT trading. Look, PlayStation has a lot of users. It's one of the biggest gaming platforms in the world. Sony is a massive company. So again, we always have to be careful now. Like, we've gotten burned quite a few times getting excited when these big platforms with existing users come in, because they don't always do it right. So the hope here is that whatever Sony's doing, they're doing it with a very long-term, you know, thoughtful approach, focused on the end user experience. But other than that, like, I don't know. Yeah, maybe we can dig more into it tomorrow. Because yeah, go ahead.
No. I'm reading a little bit of this, and it sounds a little bit like what OneKin is trying to do. We won't get too far into that, but the patent also filing mentions the support for selling NFTs to other players. This support comes through a digital ledger-powered marketplace that lists the prices publicly. However, this concept is not Sony's boldest. The company has an alternative patent stating Sony's plans to rent NFTs to players and stream viewers. In some applications, an NFT might represent the artwork or an asset in the game, such as a character, weapon, or game asset. However, with the current limitations of existing systems, users are not able to use these assets across different games and platforms.
Yeah, so this is it's a very bold vision that I think makes a lot of sense for what we all would hope that like gaming NFTs can do, right? They're decentralized. If you own an asset, You can own it outside of a specific game, move it into other games. That's the cross-platform part that sounds really exciting and cool. Could be really awesome if it works properly. But also this idea that you can have like rental mechanics. I mean, again, think about the concept that you have this one asset that you either grinded for, or you were community, you were there early and supported a game or a creator or an artist, or you paid for. You've now got this awesome gaming asset that works in like more than one different game, and you can just sit on it and like set up a system where it's like, hey, these people that are trying to accomplish certain goals or like do different things can basically like rent it for a day or rent it for a week to go accomplish their missions that they need to get to their other goal, right? I mean, shit, man. It sounds fucking cool. It's all about the execution though. And this to me though sounds like the type of thing that will take a while to roll out and troubleshoot and make it work really well. And also, again, it needs a lot of education. So, okay, if anybody from Sony is watching this, I hope that with this development, you will
Xbox.
also, Xbox, Sony, any of y'all out there working at any of these big platforms, publishers, etc. I just hope with all this really awesome development that y'all are working on, you're also going to invest equally in educating and onboarding your own community. Because otherwise, we're just going to be where we're at with Meta, where it's like, hey, you didn't create a real need or interest, and nobody understands why you're even integrating this shit. So
people do rent Lambos IRL to flex. People rent and
absolutely
try to rent Lambos for that. Gotcha. Saying more simple. Imagine World of Warcraft where the players own their gear inside of the Blizzard. That's okay. I'm not going to get on my high horse here. This is the problem that Axie Infinity infused into this initial rollout of NFT gaming, is that they made it about the token. And when I'm talking about the token, I don't mean the non-fungible side. That was part of it, but they made it about the fungible token. They made it about people in the Philippines, entire households grinding to earn the Axie Infinity token. That is not the long-term vision of this. It's exactly what Gotstrops was talking about. You make a game and you make the assets ownable, the wearables ownable, the NFTs ownable. It's just we got bastardized because everybody wanted to launch a metaverse land. Everybody wanted to launch a token alongside the game, and it just ruined it. So while that did set us back, maybe we don't have as much people knowing about NFTs today if we don't see that hype cycle based on the token increasing in value, all that stuff. Who knows where we will be? We're talking a lot about timelines on today's episode, but I think, again, it comes back to the ownable asset. So I'm stoked on it. I'm surprised Sony's kind of getting after it. I'd love to know their timeline on this. Like, they just filed the patent. When does this...
Yeah, it's going to take a little bit to fully develop and implement it well. But I think you made an interesting point about Onekin, because I think the holy grail here that a lot of these bigger publishers and platforms are trying to figure out is the like one auth, the global auth. What is that one account that's going to matter, that's going to rule them all? What's the one thing that is integrated with your wallet that has all of your assets, that's good for everything? What's the system that supports gaming NFTs and all these coins? I don't know, man. Maybe Sony's gonna have one. Maybe they're all gonna have one. Maybe Amazon's gonna have one.
I see. So you're talking about interoperability, essentially, like being able to have one hub where you could access a lot of this stuff.
This is what Google and Meta have famously done really well.
Yeah.
Right. Your Gmail and your Facebook account can log you in to a million different things.
Mm-hmm. Fair.
It's the ultimate digital identity, and who's going to own it?
I love it. All right, folks, we're here at the end of the episode. Hour and 30 minutes you spent with us today. Thank you guys so much. Got coming through with the alfalfa, the news. Nick Swerve is coming through with Call It Smooth Love Potion, and you forget it's just another coin. Exactly. Good take. Prodigy here in the house. We're getting to plat tonight, Prodigy. We're getting back. No demotion, only promotion. Also, Crawleytown FC GIF. We're out of the relegation zone for just today. You're muted, but I hear you. I hear what you. There it is.
Slow clap for Crawleytown. That's actually big news, and I'm even though I am not in the project and I am not a founder of that project, I am actually physically relieved like to hear that. 'Cause it's like I literally have like had like small nightmare moments where I just like I think about like, oh God, like what are they going through right now? How are they doing? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's
Both
just today.
fronts.
It's not done, is what you're saying.
Imagine Web 2 and Web 3 being pissed off at you. That's what
Dude.
they've got.
It's not just Web 2 though. It's like this is English football, like the most hardcore English football fans you could imagine. They're hooligans. This is serious business.
Yeah, no. I mean, you're right. They're not even Web 2. They're like analog systems.
It's like web 0 fucking hooligans, bro.
Sans web. The more technology, the more tokenized ecosystems, the better. Even if they all have their own token, they'll find ways to represent the communities and work towards interoperability. Listen, yes, in 2028. What's happening is people are launching tokens when there is no structural systems for these to exist. And so you see an SLP rise 100% and then crash down to the exact same spot where it launched, and even lower. So I agree with that. Jack's Hideaway, we appreciate you showing up. All of you today here on the channel, OVOT, of course. Thank you for tuning in to NFT Live. We got GM Web3 Gift. Tell them what's going on with GM Web3 tomorrow morning. Who do we got?
We got Jiwa coming on to talk about his awesome new drop called Petals Complex. He's verified on FX Hash. Y'all, if you don't know Jiwa, first of all, amazing dude. Just had his first child over there in Berlin, and he's got an amazing new drop. So hashtag Tech Tuesday with Jiwa is back tomorrow, and we get to dig into what he's been working on, which is a beautiful new project. So GM Web3 tomorrow AM, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern, if you're over there on the weird side of the country with this guy. But yeah, we'll be there chopping it up with the fam, and Jiwa should be there.
All right, folks.
Thanks for reminding me. I need to confirm. I need to confirm with him, actually. So thank you.
All right, get over there and then get to any NFT LA events. We didn't really hit on like throughout the episode. I think we touched on it early, but Gifted has some NFT LA events that he is continuously going to this week. That is going on all week. Yo, as they're saying in the chat, please leave a like on today's episode. It helps us get the word out about what we're doing here on NFT Live and the Web3 network. Other than that, our vibe, our tribe. We'll see you tomorrow.